Hello and welcome to Seismic Cinema. So put your feet up in your bat-themed vehicle, because I couldn't choose which one to go for. Grab your $1 bill and prepare to laugh like a maniac for the next hour plus, because we can't seem to stay under the hour these days.
Nothing wrong with that. It's quality content as always. And welcome to the final episode of our mighty May month. We're doing a wee month of comic book movies, some suggested by our viewers, and some we just hadn't seen for ages. And this week we are doing Batman 1989, Michael Keaton classic. And this week we have not one special guest, but two special guests. First of all, we have Sean from Review It Yourself podcast. There's no politics, no pandering, and no poisonous gas of any kind. How are you doing, sir?
I'm good. Thanks for inviting me on. Can't wait to chat about this one.
Yeah, glad to have you on at last. You were the one that believed in us when no one else would. You gave us our first guest spot away from home, so you're a big part of our history. Thank you, Sean.
Well, nothing like an away match, is there? It's got to be done. And I've also got to say as well, if you wanted under the hour, what did you pick me as a guest for? It's not going to happen. Let's be honest.
And our other special guest is Mr. James Paterson, returning guest who's been on such hits as Black Mirror and I can't remember the other one because my mind's went blank.
Shutter Island.
Shutter Island, that is the one, yes. And he is going to dip his toe into the podcasting world soon enough, we think. So, yeah, how's it going, James?
Yeah, all good. Thanks for having me on. Excited to talk about my favourite superhero. Quite happy to do that. In the world of podcasting, I'm certainly going to be dipping my toes in, but all will be revealed at some point. Who knows when?
There's going to be big trouble somewhere.
You better believe it.
So, yeah. On you go, Colin.
I can't believe you didn't know what other one he was on, man. That's shocking.
Honestly, I was on a roll there. I thought, this is the best intro I've done in a while. And then it just went totally blank.
Both of our podcasts with James have done really well. Black Mirror for us did really well, getting almost 200 views, which is a rarity for us. And Paul and Sean, we forgot to say, it was to plug Sean's show. It was it was The Strangers we reviewed back in the day.
Yes, it was. I love The Strangers. No one seems to talk about it, especially when Halloween rolls around and everyone starts. I'm weird. I'm doing my Halloween film in May, as you do all of the run, but people tend to do them around Halloween. It makes sense. But you get that, and then The Strangers never seems to come up, and I think it's a really solid film. I think it just gets so overlooked.
Well, we're planning on doing a Jump Scare June next month. I was thinking earlier it would have made more sense to do it in October, but the alliteration doesn't work the same.
No.
Yeah.
So, Sean, do you want to give us a rundown of your show? Go the ins and outs?
Yeah, I'll try and keep this concise. I do a Review It Yourself podcast. I stumbled upon it on the title because I started off as a 2 in another podcast. My friend didn't want to do it anymore and said to me, keep doing it yourself. Didn't want to call it Do It Yourself for immature and reasons that I didn't want it to sound like some kind of carpentry show because I'm terrible at DIY. So the whole Review It Yourself idea came about, and then it became kind of a running joke for me to see how far I could push the It Yourself. So it was like, right, well, visit it yourself, about visiting battlefields in Northern England because they're everywhere. A lot of Scottish involvement, but we're not going to go there. There's kind of, and then on top of that, there's the Defend It Yourself series that came along not that long ago, given I've done like 17 of them, although I accidentally skipped a number, so I think technically it's 16, but what can you do? Which that's gone down really well. Just had a beautiful new logo done for that, which involves Batman and Robin, but we'll come on to it. And yeah, I tend to have a weekly podcast. I have people come on from all over the place, a lot of them people from America. Shout out to Bill, Stu, loads of people. I can't start doing shout outs because someone will get upset. And what else? Yeah, I mean, that's about it, really. Just weekly people come on from all over the place. Germany, England, Scotland, Australia, Canada. So it's good fun. I've got like a nice little kind of my regulars, like, you guys, and then I continually try and bring new people in. I'm always happy to have like somebody I've never spoken to before, bring them on, see how it goes. I'm not precious about anything. I don't care what your politics are. We don't discuss them here because what on earth is the point? There's enough out there. And yeah, that's about it. I don't really have any rules for guests apart from don't talk about politics. that's literally. Oh yeah, and try not to use the C word, and that's literally about it. Because in my accent, it sounds horrific, and I won't use it. So that's about it.
No. Yeah, I was going to say, like, you put in a tremendous amount of work in your podcast because it feels like you release an episode like every couple of days. It feels like, and like you were saying, you do like you review yourself, defend it yourself. You did your vlogs.
Try to explain it yourself for like Americans, Canadians, different people to come on and try and tell me about hockey and other things that, as somebody English, you don't understand. Just because there's you don't come across it, and that didn't last very long. Not any fault on the guest part, but I just didn't. It didn't kind of work as I thought it would, so I scrapped that. So never be afraid to stop doing things. That's it.
Yeah, good advice for us and Jamesy boy as well.
I don't know if I would be able to, pull that out of the bag though. That seems like a lot of time, a lot of effort. I want that.
I tend to block record, so I'll do loads at once. So I have a couple of weeks where I maybe have a couple of days off, or I've got time to, and it all falls together. So like over the next couple of weeks, I've got about 4 recordings. Well, that's a month. So I've got, and then I knew I was going away to Italy, so I got about 6 in front, and I've continued every time I do a new one. It's like, right, there's another month. So I've got to a point after a year and a half where I'm always going to be like 5 or 6 weeks ahead, which is a nice place to get to because you're like, it's a nightmare because by the time episodes come out, you've half forgotten them, but you remember. So I don't know. I've only done like a year and a half, and I went out the gates quite quick. I did 3 an episode. That was an average 3 a week was my average for the first year. And then I was like, right, you need to calm down because they're coming out that quick. People can't listen to them before your new one's out. Mm-hmm. So you just trial and error. Never be afraid to just turn your mic on and start. I've spoken to people who've gone, oh, I researched for a year and, looked at this and what should I do? And I'm like, why don't you just turn the mic on and just start talking? You'll either like it or you won't. That's about it.
No worries. Nice wee origin story though from you, Sean. And this is a nice wee origin story for Batman. This 1989 one.
By the way, see, before we get into Batman, Jordan lent me his Batman mask, and literally I tried to put it over my head and it wouldn't go over my head. He's either got a really small head or I've got a massive head.
I think you got a massive head.
Here's the mask.
No comment.
Is it the Keaton one as well with a little nose bit underneath? Or is it?
I'm not that knowledgeable to know that. I'll let you make up your own mind.
I think it looks quite similar.
Right. Before we get into the review itself, just a wee bit about where we're at. So I'll keep mine nice and simple. I remember being terrified of the Penguin as a kid in Batman Returns. I enjoyed the Nolan trilogy, and I enjoyed, apart from I found it a wee bit too long, the Batman that we saw last year. And I wouldn't say I'm a massive Batman fan, but I have enjoyed quite a lot of the films, and you'll hear what I think about this film once we get into it. Who wants to go next?
No. James? Okay. Go around the clock.
All right. Well, like I've said before, Batman is my favourite superhero. I've watched, all the films, so I'm a wee bit older than you guys, I think. So I remember in the 90s, I watched this one and Batman Forever with Tim Burton ones were okay. Massive fan of the Dark Knight trilogy. And I'll discuss my comparisons later if I can, if you'll allow me to. I love the animated series as well. Brilliant. I love the computer games. Arkham games are brilliant. And it's big fan. I wouldn't say I'm I'm not a comic book type of fan. I'm not one of the people, but certainly do like the films. And well, I like most films, so I'll say that much. And I'll again make comparisons later. And maybe Sean and I may have words later on.
We can meet in the car park.
Sorry, Colin?
You can meet in the car park.
Oh, aye.
That's an in joke from that Moisture Farm Report.
What have you been told about in jokes? That YouTube video said, no.
I watched that.
It said to include them.
Oh, okay. Sean, what about you? What's your history with the Batman?
Oh, yeah. Well, I see the Batman 1989 has always been a bit of a funny one because I was born in the early 90s. So I think the first one I ever watched was Batman Returns, and I love that dearly. And I think the Batman, the original, the 89 one, which we're going to discuss, has always been one that I could kind of, oh, this is going to sound horrendous. Not that I could live without it, but I haven't seen it for years. It doesn't really crop up for me, and then as I got older, and I was about the right age for Schumacher's Batman. I was like 3 or 4. So you ended up with Batman Forever with Kilmer. Kilmer still remains. I've got this. You won't be happy with some of these James, but I like Kilmer's one of my favorite Batman. I like that one. Thought he's just crying in the car. You should see his face. And I like that one. Batman and Robin came out. My dad got me the video, I think, that year, and it's just this kind of a special film for me. I like it. I love it. To be fair, for what it is, it's horrendous. It's horrendous, but it's like a Machi's or something like that, or it's terrible for you and it's not good for you, and you shouldn't be doing it and you shouldn't be watching it. But it's like, I love it. I rated 10 out of 10 on another podcast I went and guested, and you should have seen the two Americans' faces. They were disgusted. I thought Bill would never talk to me again. So yeah, a bit of weird history with him. Batman Begins rolls in. See, I think that's a bit overrated. I like it, but I think the CGI stuff towards the end, which is odd for Nolan, with the shallows or the whatever it's called, the kind of the slum bits a little bit. I never was quite on board with that one. The Dark Knight, of course, is just outstanding. Don't worry, I'm not that mental. That one's unbelievable. But I also really like The Dark Knight Rises. I don't understand why that gets so much flack. I just don't get it. I've not seen the Batman animated series, although my mate gave me both series of it, so they're literally sat in my DVD case waiting to watch. But I have watched some of the animated stuff. So the Flashpoint Paradox. I've watched kind of like Mask of the Phantasm. What's the other one? The Killing Rounds or something. That's a joke one. The animated ones are really, really good. And then it came to the Zack Snyder-y stuff. I thought Ben Affleck was wasted. I thought Jeremy Irons as Alfred was wasted. I'd love to have seen more of him. I love Jeremy Irons. And then you come to the Batman, and people who've listened to my podcast know what I think about that. I watched it twice in cinemas. It's 6 hours of my life I'll never get back. There was some absolutely genius parts in it that I thought, this is fantastic, but it just went on too long. The music's outstanding. Pattinson does what he can with it, but it's just too much in it. Colin Farrell as a Penguin was fantastic. Just too long, overrated. I will never watch that one again as long as I live. I'll listen to the soundtrack happily, but I've no interest in it. So that's where I am. I'm odd when it comes to Batman, but I do like Batman.
Paul enjoyed that one.
I did. But by the way, see when you're talking about your 10 out of 10 for Batman and Robin, I was listening to the Stu World podcast, I think on my lunch break, and I near enough choked on my Sani to death because you said that. I was like, what?
You should have seen their faces. They were absolutely disgusted. Like I said to Stu, look, I actually said to him, blank me out and put that video out if you want. I don't think he recorded a video, but he should, because I didn't tell them, because they know what I'm like. They know what we're like over here, like Scots. People from all over England, we can be quite blunt, especially the north. We've got we just tell you what we think. We can't help it. That's what's the point in, messing about. But
yeah, I was expecting you to go like, oh, it was only a joke, and then it's like, nope. No, he's deadly serious. He's deadly serious.
You're there, like looking around your office, like, have you heard this? You heard this guy? Yeah, they were. But I know it's not great, but I can't help it. I don't do ratings, so I don't kind of get it. But I couldn't help it. I couldn't, because they'd maligned it so much. I was like, I watched that back. I just loved it. When I went to get the DVD out of the Batman, I've got these big DVD case things, and I went and I looked, and it was like Batman Returns, Batman Forever, and I just looked at Batman and Robin and thought, I wouldn't mind, because I just find it so much fun. It's awful. It is awful, but sometimes.
The only good thing about that film was Uma Thurman was looking pretty tidy. That's about it.
Oh, it's just like, my garden needs tending, and it's just like, oh my God, what am I? She'd won an Oscar before that, or been nominated for one or something, and she bounced onto that, and you're like, she's going to be really good. Oh no, she's just, the whole thing is just like made for kids. I think it's just, anyway.
Yeah. Well, I think that was my first introduction. Actually, it was like the kids shows. I think the Saturday morning cartoons, the Batman, like the Mask of the Phantasm stuff, that style. I think moved on to Batman Beyond. I started watching that. But like when I was younger, I used to watch all the movies as well. So I think, well, actually, it turns out I don't think I've ever seen Batman 1989 until today. I thought I'd seen it. I think I've just seen loads of clips of it, but never actually seen the whole thing. So today was probably the first time watching it. I've seen Batman Returns about 1 million times. Like Colin said, loved it because like the characters are just so like out there and just like fantastic. Val Kilmer, I actually quite like Val Kilmer's one. I remember that one quite vividly from growing up. And then Batman and Robin, the Bat Nipples.
The Bat Nipples appeared in the film before.
Oh, did they?
I think they appeared with Kilmer, yeah.
You only notice them more in this one and that one because Mr. Freeze is in it and it gets a bit colder.
Oh, every other line is just.
And then so like the Christopher Nolan trilogy was. I loved it. Batman Begins is a bit. I don't know. It didn't seem like a great starter for the trilogy. I didn't think, but then it just got better. Like Dark Knight was amazing. Dark Knight Rises was pretty good. A bit mental in places, but good. I really loved the Batman from last year. That was like one of my top movies from last year. So yeah, that is my history with the Batman. So yes, quite short and sweet.
Before we get deep into this film, I've picked out a couple of. I know Sean's got a few wee facts as well. I couldn't resist though. I like my seismic statements. So number one, this one's quite interesting. I don't know if you know this, but Robin Williams was offered the role of the Joker, but they basically just did it to kind of goad Jack Nicholson into taking the role. And then when eventually Robin Williams was taken out the role and Jack Nicholson went for it, he was so raging that he refused to be the Riddler in a future film, and he didn't speak to go in any Warner Brothers films until he got an apology.
Yeah, good for him. He did something similar with Aladdin and Disney. Anybody wants to go check out more Robin Williams facts?
I've watched a couple of the classics lately. On to Jack Nicholson. He got a kind of percentage of the proceeds from the film, which was about $60 million back then, which is about $143 million now. So he made a fair bob off of this film. I was listening to a podcast about this earlier. Everyone was quite against Michael Keaton when he was first cast because of his appearance, his weight, his build, his hair, his looks. They're all quite mean, to be honest. There was another kind of broken promise with Billy D. Williams, who was promised to be like Two-Face in a future film, but then they decided they wanted Tommy Lee Jones instead. But he did voice the character in the Lego Batman movie, which I've not seen. And just like what was the one we reviewed? Was it Superman? Man of Steel was released on like the is it 75th anniversary of the character?
I think that's what you said, yeah.
Yeah, so this was the 50th anniversary of the Batman character when this was released. And I'm struggling to read my writing now. Oh, there's a sketch of Batman near the start of the film, which was signed by Bob Kane, the creator of Batman. The movie is inspired a lot by this comic book I borrowed from Jordan, the Killing Joke, which I'm going to read. I wish I'd read it before we started. And last but not least, Jack Napier, the name for the Joker, was created by the movies and wasn't actually in the comic books. So that's just a few things that I didn't pull off IMDb.
It's fair enough.
Yeah, pretty good.
Thank
Jack
you
Nicholson
for-
continues. Sorry, mate.
You talk first, I talk first.
I was just going to throw in a bit of trivia about. So Jack Nicholson, he returns to continue his run of playing characters named after himself, because in 1981, when he did The Shining, he played Jack Torrance, and of course, everyone knows Jack Nicholson. He's everyone's go-to U.S. president. He played the role in Mars Attacks, 1996, which was also a Tim Burton film. And funny enough, he was somewhat of a two-face in that film. I'm stretching that link a little bit thin. He also played Art Land in that film because Tim Burton was told, oh, we don't really want to kill off Jack Nicholson in the film. So what did Tim Burton do? He created two roles for Jack Nicholson and he killed them both. So nice one, Tim Burton. And of course, Jack Nicholson starred in one of the best films of all time, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, 1975, Milos Forman film, the Czech director, unbelievable film. And it also starred Danny DeVito, who would go on to become Oscar Cobblepot, aka the Penguin, in Batman Returns 1992. And there's another link later, but I'll save these. I'll sprinkle them throughout. Don't worry, sprinkle them in.
Colin, he's well better at this than you.
Aye. I've done good ones too in different episodes. But I think it's time to get right into the review then. So will we do kind of overall view, or will we just get into kind of the discussion and summarize at the end? What do you think?
Were you asking me or were you asking?
Just asking the collective.
The
Will
forum.
we save our overall views to the end, or will we do a wee intro each?
Just a general discussion if you want.
Yeah, just crack. Yeah, we'll just crack into it. Yeah. Crack on.
Who's going first?
I've talked enough. Come on, James, jump in. Sorry, it's not my podcast.
No. We'll let the hosts kick on.
Right.
Paul,
Dave, do you want me to go first then?
Yes.
there you go.
Because I'm just going to derail this before it's even started.
You didn't like it.
I didn't actually like it that much.
You didn't like
I'm
it. Then.
sorry. I'm sorry.
No, I'm kind of with you on this a little bit. I'm kind of with you on this. I think you can. Oh God, see, I'll go even further and sit. I don't hate it, but I think you could skip this completely and just start with Batman Returns. I think that film was far better than this. I think Keaton. Jack Nicholson was good, but like you, I haven't seen this in years, and I watched it and I was like, yeah, it's not that great. It's a bit long as well, which I know it's only 2 hours. It's not like 3, but it does feel a bit long. I watched it in 2 bits because I was like my attention was starting to wane a little bit, and especially as I was making notes.
You said Wayne.
Yeah, not Bruce Wayne. Wayne as in not Wayne as in Scottish for little kid. I mean Wayne as in like your attention starts to wander.
Yeah, we have that word up here too.
You don't think
Yeah.
it's different? No, sorry, Paul. You don't think it's
No, you go.
Because I found it, I watched it years and years ago, and because I was coming on here, I watched it again. But I found it quite hard to watch the film again because the newer films, like you say, like the Nolan trilogy, blows every film out the water, and you're just now constantly comparing it to the Nolans or even the Batman, which I thought was good as well. So I did find it a bit harder to watch because the new films that I've seen, but I don't know, man. I did enjoy the film. I don't disagree. I think Batman Returns is better. Just purely for the casting point of view, I think, and plus, Batman Returns is a Christmas film, so get that on the list.
Yes.
Yeah, I think I suffered the same. Like because this is the first time I've actually properly watched it, I think you're exactly right, James. I think I was comparing it too much to what I've seen lately, and it just didn't stack up. Like, it's aged a lot, I think. But like, I didn't hate it, and like, I just found my attention fall a wee bit at times. Just I was like, just there's bits I wasn't really interested in. Like, I didn't really like the bits with the reporters and stuff. I was just kind of like, can we just skip past that? I didn't really like the goons and stuff. I thought they were just overly cheesy.
Yeah.
I've got some goon trivia. If you like some goon trivia,
I like goon trivia.
I had a funny line.
Go. Sorry.
No, it doesn't matter. It's too cheesy.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm not going to.
I was going to say go on then, but like go on then. I mean,
That's too
You're
cheesy,
right.
Colin.
that's getting cut.
So my goon trivia. So I'm one of these people who watches a film, particularly like this. It's got a lot of British people in it, and I go, "What's he out of? And what's he out of?" So I've got 2 bits of goon trivia actually. So goon number 1. So Jack's bodyguard, who plays Bob the Goon, who's the main guy. He's like right hand man who he shoots right near the end. Spoilers. He was played by Tracy Walter. So you may recognize him as FBI agent Bill, in brackets, ex-powerboat salesman in Danny DeVito's Matilda. So there's another DeVito link. And also goon number 1, who plays the goon who's a mime. I don't know why they don't call him a mime. He plays the guy who's a mime. I don't know why I did that. He is around Keaton when Napier turns up and shoots up the courthouse or whatever it is. He was played by Mac MacDonald, a kind of Scottish American actor, who he played Captain Hollister in Red Dwarf in series 1, 2, 8, and 12. And then should I save it? I'll link it in now. I'll sod it. I'm in it. So that links in another guy who was also in Red Dwarf, who played Dennis Lill, who plays the guy with the tash in the newspaper office. And he also, you'll know him as Cassandra's dad, Alan, in Only Fools and Horses. He was also in The Eagle Has Landed as Churchill's aide, and he was a simulant in the Emmy Award-winning episode of Red Dwarf, Gunman of the Apocalypse. See when Silicon Hell is his famous line. So that's what I've got for now. I've saved a bit more, don't worry. But I'm not doing like the classic trivia. This is just stuff that I because everybody goes on IMDb. I'm not having to go to movie podcasts because I do exactly the same thing. But everyone's got the same trivia, and it's like, oh Christ, what else? So I like to just throw in, oh, he's from this, she's from that. So I'll keep it up. Anyway, that's me done.
The guy that played Harvey Dent was in Star Wars.
I hadn't got to him yet, but that's all right. It's fine.
How do you follow up, Paul? Do you want to hire Sean?
With that non-existent money we don't make, sure.
Paul,
that's pretty impressive.
By the way, is it the case that probably the
Oh no, I did have Lando Calrissian trivia, but you stole it at the beginning. I had about him becoming the Joker, him becoming Harvey Dent in the Batman movie, and you stole it, so that's why it wasn't on there.
You snooze, you lose.
Yeah.
Can I pipe it in here a little bit and say, and I'm hoping there'll be some disagreement here, but I don't think Michael Keaton's a good Batman. I don't like him as Batman.
Batman or Bruce Wayne?
I get a lot of stick for that. I get a lot of stick for that. I actually think he's a better Bruce Wayne than he is a Batman.
I would say the opposite.
You think he's a better Batman?
I didn't really enjoy him as Bruce Wayne. I think because I've kind of used to the Christian Bale's was obviously he was moody, but he was a bit cooler. I thought Michael Keaton's was there, and I don't understand why he was getting the girls.
Yeah, he was going for like an awkward kind of, probably what they would like, kind of, some rich people. He says at the reporter, you've got that much money that you can essentially just. It's like, and I'm sorry to bring it back to film quotes, but it's like what Dennis Hopper says in Speed. He's like, no, Jack, poor people are crazy. I'm eccentric, because he's got all the money. It's like that, isn't it? Yeah, exactly. It's like that. Great film. So,
What's that?
I just swore there. Sorry, Colin.
All right, it's you it's you that's getting pulled up. I don't know about Paul, but I probably class myself as like the least Batman fan out of the four of us. But I'm going to probably be the only one that would say I actually quite enjoyed this.
No, I didn't. No, I didn't not enjoy it. I thought it was a good film. I just can't. I just don't like Michael Keaton as Batman. Like he's more believable.
It's a bit integral to the film, James. I mean, but I get what you mean, though.
I know. I just think he's more believable as Bruce Wayne, right? And when you were talking, Sean, earlier on, when the mime who was in front of Michael Keaton at the courthouse, he was standing with his shirt and tie on and stuff like that. That's just Bruce Wayne. And I don't know. I just think that obviously I'm comparing to other films, and it's hard not to do that. And Colin, you said that Christian Bale was too moody. Is that what you said?
I don't say he's too moody, but he was like moodier. But he was a bit cooler. You could picture him getting the girl, but the Michael Keaton one wasn't as believable.
No, okay. So yeah, but I understand that point and agree with that. He's more flamboyant. Christian Bale was as Bruce Wayne. He was
he's like a playboy millionaire, but
aye.
Thing is, Keaton's more like a reclusive millionaire because nobody seemed to know who he was or what he looked like at all in this movie.
Aye,
no, I know. That bit where she's like, "Oh, what's so special about this corner?" I'm like, surely everyone would know that, like, the patrons of the city were gunned down there. But this was also one of my biggest issues with the Batman. I felt that I watched Tenet by Christopher Nolan, and I love Nolan. Didn't like Tenet very much, but I thought one of the shining lights in it was Pattinson. I thought it felt like a cross between his audition for Batman as Bruce Wayne and his audition for kind of James Bond. He was suave, he was charming, he felt deadly, and I thought, I cannot wait to see you take on Bruce Wayne. You will be unbelievable in being this kind of moody, and he was a decent Batman, a moody Batman. You know, I don't get why you won't work out, but I'm not going to hold it against you. And then on the other hand, you've got, I thought you could be that kind of cool, suave kind of, because that was the point. I never read the comics, but I've seen enough stuff and read enough stuff to know that he was meant to be like a real dual personality, so that no one who met Bruce Wayne was like, yeah, you might be Batman. Whereas in this film, it's like, yeah, you're clearly Batman. Like it just that kind of, you know.
Was it not Michael Keaton that came up with the idea of having like the different voice, like the kind of lower voice that they then used for the future films?
Just when he pulls the guy in and goes,
yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's basically what Boba Fett does nowadays.
I don't know.
What?
In the Book of Boba Fett, he likes to just remind people of what his name is quite a lot.
Oh, right, okay, got you. I thought you meant he puts his voice lower, and I'm like, does he?
What I do we're doing the reviews is I have kind of 3 questions. So one of them was, do you think Keaton's a better Batman or Bruce Wayne? So I would vote Batman. I liked him as Batman. I thought he was pretty cool, but I thought he was a bit of a loser as Bruce Wayne. So we've heard from James on that. What about you, Paul? Did you prefer him as Batman or Bruce Wayne?
I'd probably say Batman because I didn't really like him as Bruce Wayne either. It just felt like, I don't know, like, see when there's like danger about, he just seemed to be like doing a lot of standing about or like running away and stuff. I don't know. I know he's like Bruce Wayne when he's Bruce Wayne. He can't do these things, but he just didn't seem to be, I don't know, that concerned about things. And then I don't know if he's a good Batman either, because like I thought Batman didn't kill people, and then I think he just blew up a bunch of people in an acid factory.
Yeah, it gets a bit like that, especially in Batman Returns. He like kicks some guy through a door, throws a bomb in after him, and it's like, the lines are getting a bit blurred here. But yeah, I know what you mean. I think it's a tough one. I would put them on a par, his Batman and his Bruce Wayne, but I actually really liked his Bruce Wayne because what I think he was going for, and especially at the time when nothing else, we've seen loads of Batman films since then, I don't know, about 6 or whatever it is. But I think then it was kind of, well, if you ignore the Zack Snyder stuff, but if you look at how he plays Bruce Wayne, I think he's playing Bruce Wayne. He kind of does it a bit better in Batman Returns, But in this, I think he's kind of what he's trying to be is like this. He's trying to act being this like kind of this millionaire, but his mind's not there. He's not with it. He's always thinking about what's happening here, what's happening there, and he tries to play this kind of awkward, kind of distracted, kind of a little bit flippant, like I'll give him a grant type of character. But I think it doesn't come across. It comes across a bit awkward and a little bit like you're not doing anything, you don't have a personality. But I think that's meant to be the point. I think, is it a Batman or is it a Bruce Wayne that's struggling with balancing the two? Because this isn't an origin story. It's just, which I like about it, thank God, that it's just for anyone who hasn't seen it, because you never know. Well, younger people, it's straight into it. It's like here's like a mission. It's like jumping straight into Goldfinger in the Bond series. Like, oh, he's just the Batman and Bruce Wayne, and he's going to just crack on with it. They don't have any of that kind of. So it either lands for you or it doesn't. And I kind of get it, but I get why people like yourselves are like, yeah, I don't kind of. There's nothing really there. So you can argue, but it's what I love about films. Everyone sees something kind of different. That's what I like about it.
I think your experience with a movie is, and like last night, for example, as well, Paul was worried that the thing wasn't going to live up to how he typed it up. But I feel like I watched it with my fiance's son Jordan, who's like a crazy Batman fan, and I think sometimes other people's enthusiasm for a character or an actor, it kind of like rubs off on you a bit when you're watching it with them because they're like pure gushing about it. Do you know what I mean by that?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think if you watch that film, if you watch Titanic with me, I think you'd leave it with a lot of Titanic facts. You might not like the film, but you'd probably find it quite interesting. So, but
we were going to review Titanic around about the anniversary of it, but we never got around to it.
I know somebody wasn't organised.
You always.
Yep.
I think it's a good time to get on to the Joker, because I think we'll probably have a lot to say about Jack's performance.
Can I jump in with a bit of trivia here? Sorry, I'm going to keep doing this, but I want to get all the trivia out.
Is it about the Joker?
It is. The actor who plays the doctor who operates on Jack Napier, he looked familiar to me, and he is none other than Kurt the chef from Fawlty Towers Gourmet Night. You know, the one who's like, Manuel, he doesn't love me. I think he's meant to be French. That's who the actor is. So yeah, there you go. There's my that one.
So what was everyone's thoughts on this version of the Joker then?
I think it's. I will say this for it. This film's a lot darker than I remembered in terms of its tone. Like he's killing people like he doesn't care. He acids that girl in the face and puts her behind a weird mask. He tries to acid attack Kim Basinger, and he's a very dark character. It's very he like electrocutes that guy to death. Although the line Antoine got a little hot under the collar is just from Jack Nicholson's just outstanding, and I think it's a good character. I think it fits with the tone of the film. But I think that also brings its own problems in that you either run with a Jack Nicholson, a bit like you either run with a Nicolas Cage Dracula or you don't. It's a little bit like that. Feels like that. You either go with it and you love it, or you're just like, this is just stupid.
What about you, James? What do you think?
I thought it was an excellent portrayal of the Joker. It wasn't an origin story, obviously, like you say, Sean, but I think how Jack Nicholson came about to become this person, killing Joker. Yeah, it was really good. I think he was a great portrayal. He was manic, you know what I mean, and it was really dark. I think what you say, Sean, about just killing folk, and it was. I agree as well. It was darker than I remember because I was younger when I seen it as well. So I would revisit the films every so often, but because I was coming on here, I was kind of more involved in it, and it's definitely much darker than I thought. This really surprised me being Tim Burton though. He's obviously got that kind of mindset of kind of dark films. Is he the best Joker? No, he's no but I think he led. I think he led the way because I think every Joker since him tried to better him, and only one succeeded, in my opinion.
I think I could make a good guess at who it is.
Yes, but there were different Jokers as well. I actually think the Joker in Gotham is more like him. I don't know if you've seen Gotham or not, any of you, but
Was that Cameron was it Cameron Monaghan?
yeah.
Yeah.
Fallen Order.
Sorry, say that again.
He's the guy that does the motion capture for the Star Wars.
He
that's
is.
right. That's
He
right.
was in the US Shameless as well. He was really good in that. Yeah, he's been in quite a lot. He crops up. He's a good actor.
Yeah, I thought he was more along the lines of kind of like Jack Nicholson's Joker, but
And he was in the Batman. He played him in the cage in the Batman at the end.
Yeah,
I'm sure that's Cameron Monaghan as well.
Yeah, I think it is.
Sorry, James, I didn't mean to jump in.
oh, it's all right. There's an unseen footage as well. I'd like to see that film. I went home after I went to see it in the pictures, and I went into YouTube and seen the deleted scene. It was him. I don't know if you
Yeah.
that or not, but I love Jack Nicholson. I love Jack Nicholson. Everything he does, to be fair, but the Joker paved the way for other ones. Brilliant. Can't complain.
Movies like The Shining, which we did a review of many moons ago.
Do you know Stu from Stu World Order's never seen that?
The Shining.
He doesn't want to watch it either, and I'm like, come on, Stu.
I love it.
But
what's Jack Nicholson's? Sorry, Sean.
No, go on, mate. You're right. Go on. You're right.
No, I was going off on a tangent there. I just thought of something, but there you go.
No, go on, mate. I don't want you to forget it. Nothing worse.
One of these go.
What was Jack Nicholson's character in The Departed? Was it Jack? Just when you said Jack Nicholson's character's Jack.
Oh yeah, he plays Jack Torrance in The Shining. That's his name in that.
No,
as well.
but have you seen The Departed though?
Oh no, sorry, no. I've got it's on my watch list. I've got the DVD, but I've not seen it yet.
I've seen that.
It's a great film, isn't it? Okay. Anyway, sorry.
But
Paul, what did you make of the Joker?
Well, I think there's a reason that Jack Nicholson's name comes before Michael Keaton's on the title, and I think it's like, see if he wasn't in this film, I think it'd be completely different and it wouldn't be as good. I really enjoyed his performance. He's quite cutthroat as a gangster, but then when he gets thrown in that acid, he just turns totally deranged. I quite like his kind of dark side. He's just ruthless, like you're saying, his right hand man. Like throughout the film, he's always trying to protect him and stuff, and then he just nonchalantly shoots him at the parade because Batman stole his balloons.
It's the bit after that though where he's just like, guys, I'm going to need a minute. I love that.
Yeah.
Brilliant. As if to say, go away because you might be next. But I think, the film's like, not to, I was thinking about what we were on about earlier, you know, when you talk about how the film lands for you, it's such a different film to what we've had since. Even like its sequels, even like Batman Returns, it went more like lighthearted, and because like you said, like Paul, the Batman doesn't do a lot in this. Bruce Wayne doesn't do a lot. If you take the Joker out of it, this would be a real stinker. Obviously, there'd be something else in there. There'd be like another villain. But I think without Jack Nicholson, it would be a lot. It would really damage it if you took him out of it and didn't have someone as good. But it's very it's very noir. It's gothic and old fashioned in a good way. It has aged a bit, although I will take matte paintings and models over CGI any day of the week because I think it looks better and it holds up better. But I think it's just such a different. It's like I wrote down, and it's a gangster film with a guy in a bat suit. It's not a Batman film. That's what it is. It's like a gangster film. It feels like it belongs to kind of a almost, and it's not as dark as, but it feels like it belongs with like Road to Perdition and kind of those kind of like 1930s gangster films. It feels like it's more. Maybe that's what he went for. I think he kind of abandons it a little bit with the next film, but that's just what I thought. Really.
No, I did enjoy it. It just, like, for all the darkness it was, I felt like it was kind of intertwined with a weird musical score. Like, is it Prince or something that does the music for it? Because Like when the music was coming in for those parts, I just felt like it was like too cheesy, and I was like, this is really kind of taking me out of it a wee bit. I just didn't really like it. I was like, what is this? I didn't enjoy that at all. And just a couple of a wee side tangent on the Joker at the parade. Why has Batman got like things to catch balloons on his bat thingy? What's this called? The Batmobile,
the Batwing.
The Batwing. Why has he got something so specific for that task to grab balloons and cut the cables?
Plot.
Yeah. Like they're like, oh, maybe one day I might need this. And today's the day.
I always thought in case it was if he kind of flew low. You know, like I don't know. I know they didn't have barrage balloons up over Gotham, but I think it was that kind of idea.
Yeah, I don't know. It just felt oddly specific for the film.
Well, if not, he can't see his balloons, can he? So
that's true.
Well, ask me about the Joker.
Colin, what did you think about the Joker?
I made the mistake of going last, so you've used up all the good content, but as someone like you mentioned, Paul, he's mental. There was a scene, is it the museum? But he arranges a date.
Yeah, and he gasses everyone.
And it's just that whole sequence when he's just dancing about is just so bizarre. Like it was quite surreal, that bit. I laughed out loud when he killed his right hand man. I thought that was hilarious.
I don't like it's his fault that Batman has an oddly specific tool to grab his balloons. Like he could stop that.
So that was a couple of standout bits. The bit where he fries the guy is. It should be like
a bit ropey, isn't it?
It should be horrific, but it's just like he just went to skeleton so fast that it was amusing. Skeleton mode. So my next question is a kind of spin off of this one. So we've talked about the two main characters, if you can call Batman a main character. My second question out of the three was, who's your favorite minor character in this film? There could be quite a few. Anyone got one that comes to mind right away?
Not particularly, to be honest with you.
Don't ruin my question by having no answers.
Sorry, I'm just going to go.
I maybe. Oh, sorry, James.
No, sorry. I don't know.
Maybe. Sorry, go on.
Right, Sean, you go.
Sorry, mate. No, go on. I'm being rude. Go on, you're all right.
Right. What's I saying again? Oh, aye. I think every other character other than Alfred and Vicky were insignificant, really. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. I just, because you're watching the film and you're just, it's like, you know, a boxing match you're looking for. It's a Batman and it's the Joker. I don't know. You asked me a question, who do I prefer? Who do I like, Colin? I'm just going to go
with your favourite minor character.
Vicky Vale, is it? Kim Basinger's character?
Yeah, Kim Basinger, yeah.
Aye, I'll go with her. So yeah, nothing really to report home about that. But I'm going to say one thing that really annoyed me, especially with the relationship between her and Keaton. I don't know if it annoyed you either, but do you know the scene where the Joker invades her house and Michael Keaton or Bruce Wayne is in the room?
Yeah.
And he bends over and he sees them all coming in. He bends over and he takes like a mirror or some sort of silver plate.
It's a platter, isn't it? Yeah, it's like a
platter. And he puts it and under his tux or something like that, under his shirt. And then
it's tiny though. It's absolutely tiny.
The Joker ends up shoots him and then he's dead. And then Vicky turns around and he's away again. So it's just, that was such a stupid bit in the film. He could have just done without that. There's no need for that at all.
I thought he was going to transition into Batman, appear, and save the day at that point.
Okay, Michael Keaton pathetic. Let's be honest. Nah, he's
And
not.
why didn't the Joker just snatch her right there and then, even though he did that at the end of the film?
Oh, and it ends with that stupid bit, which is very Joker-y, to be fair, but where she opens that box and then she faints, and I'm like, oh god! Like the hand pops up with the dead roses, which actually is quite a nice visual. Actually, it's just a little bit odd, but of course it's the Joker, so yeah, it was great. I thought that was, but yeah, I agree with you, James. I didn't get that, and like why he like hides and then appears behind. This is of Bruce Wayne. It's like, why did either hide and stay hidden and go away and get your batsuit, or just front it out. Don't hide for a bit and then step out. And like when he's trying to be like really hard, with like the Joker, he's like, oh yeah, whatever. And he's like, can I tell you a story? It's like, no, Michael Keaton, you can't. Go away and get your cowl and come back because it's not really working. I don't think he I don't think he quite knew. I think he was still trying out his maybe the script as well. To be fair to him, because he's a hell of an actor.
I know.
And
I'm not dissing Michael
Oh no,
Keaton.
I know you're not. But to be fair, I'm not exactly singing his praises in this one either. But I think he doesn't have a lot to work with. I think there's a lot to be said for you can have like a really great actor, but if the material they're going off isn't very good, they just look dreadful.
It's quite similar to Matt Smith being the Doctor. I think it's poor writing.
I think it was worse for Capaldi, wasn't it? I mean, anyway, I won't sidetrack it that, but yeah,
definitely.
What about you, Paul? Did you have a favourite minor character?
I'll just go for my character. I'll put as my wee name here. Knox, the old horn dog journalist. He popped up for some reason. He was there for, I think, just as a competing love interest for the Batman, even though he really wasn't. He just popped up just to kind of chase a story every so often and had a couple of comedic lines here and there. He was a bit heroic during the parade, right enough. He started bashing those boys with a baseball bat to get them to let go of the balloons. So I think Knox is the real hero of this story, not the Batman.
Yeah.
I'm going to go for, I'm just perusing Wikipedia, I'm going to go for Tourist Dad.
Oh no!
The guy that got his family lost and took him down a dark alleyway to almost certain doom. That guy that got bashed in the back of the head.
Paul, I can't even remember who Tourist Dad is. I just saw.
He didn't listen to the kid. Did he? Didn't listen to the kid telling him, "Dad, I've got a big map." And the kids, the dad said, "I'll put it away." But I think my favorite character in it, and this brings me on to one of my last. Is it my last piece? Yeah. Well, my second to last piece of trivia. The guy who gets held over, who mugs that guy at the beginning, and also gets held over the edge of the building by Keaton when he gives the famous "I'm Batman," is the nicknamed. Wait, his name is Nick the Mugger. Which I don't know if that's a bad pun, and if it is, I think it's fantastic, but I don't think it's meant to be. He played Moxie in Auf Wiedersehen Pet for years, and the actor's called Christopher Fairbank. So that's one of my last bits of trivia.
Yeah, and he's also in Andor. It's a Star Wars thing. Sorry, Sean.
I know it is. Yeah.
Colin, you might know. He's the old boy in the prison.
Oh,
that dies.
I know the guy you mean, yeah.
Spoilers. Andor, he dies.
I don't think I'm not Andor yet.
My real answer, he did nothing in the film.
Yeah.
But I'm going to vote for Billy D. Williams just for being Billy D. Williams and being really cool, right?
It doesn't have a lot to do, does he? Bless him.
He's Lando Luger's capes.
Yeah. I was actually saying to Colin, because he's put his name as like Lando Dent, and before I came on, I was going to put Harvey made no dent, and I was like,
yeah, he didn't really, did he? Bless him.
That was a good one, Paul.
The guy who played the reporter was he was actually in Good Morning Vietnam with Robin Williams, just to bring it full circle to the whole Robin Williams trivia.
Very nice.
Two things. I think this film did the kind of classic Batman things really well. I really enjoyed seeing the bat signal near the end, and I thought the Batmobile was really cool as well, which was my last question out of the three. Was your favourite vehicle? It was only really the two, the Batwing and the Batmobile, but I vote Batmobile because I did really. I'm not like a massive Batman fan, but I still kind of geeked out a bit seeing it for the first time.
You shouldn't
not
have asked me this
question. The first time in this film.
You shouldn't have asked me this question. Mr. Freeze's car from Batman and Robin. I think it's brilliant. No, the spikes. Sorry. I'm so sorry. I know. With the little wing that comes up and deflects the ice.
And this film.
In this. Sorry, okay. Well, that's what I mean.
Batman and
it's
Robin.
got to be the Batwing, hasn't it? It's got to be the Batwing. It's got to be the Batwing.
I was going to say the Joker themed cars with the purple body and the green tops because they were just jamming.
Yeah. I forgot about that.
Taken from the comic, definitely, and I think they were like that in one of the earlier series as well. I don't know if it was the Adam West one, but it's definitely like that's straight from the comic books as well.
Is that right? Okay.
Quite similar to Two-Face. Two-Face had a very similar looking car as well. So.
What were you, Jamesy boy?
The Batmobile for sure. I remember the Batmobile when I was growing up. My parents got me the actual Batmobile kind of figurines type thing, and it used to kind of fire out yellow missiles. And when I was wee, I used to kind of play around with the figures and things. So that Batmobile it holds a special place in my heart.
I thought you were going to say you got an actual Batmobile.
I do. Well, as I said to you before, have you seen Batman and me in the same room? You have me.
How do you think he gets around the streets? How do you think he gets around Glasgow? It's called,
Well,
cruising style.
We've gone through the whole review without saying or discussing the most iconic line of the whole.
Colin's frozen.
You kind of froze a wee bit there, Colin.
I froze.
You did.
Mr. Freeze.
I just said we made it. Mr. Freeze. We made it this far without discussing the most iconic line in the film, which James actually posted to us on Twitter earlier.
Yes. How I Dance with the Devil by the Pale Moonlight.
I hadn't seen this film until this week, like this specific one, but even I knew that was obviously something well known. It just had that ring to it.
Oh no, I don't think that's the most iconic one. Never touch another man's rhubarb up. Is it great? Isn't it? That's like what? Because I'd seen the GIF and I was like, does he really say that? He does. He does. Yeah.
I remember watching that back. I was honestly telling myself laughing. That line.
Yeah. See when you sent those two pictures, like, was it never rubber man's rhubarb, another man's rhubarb?
That's a touch story.
Yeah, and that pale moonlight one. Like, because I hadn't seen this, I was like, are these like some weird memes that I'm just not understanding right now? Because surely they wouldn't be in the film, and they just totally were, and I was all for it.
I love the fact he explains as well that he's like, oh, it doesn't mean anything. I just heard it once and I like it. I thought that was really Jokery. Like, that's classic Joker. Like, he does a lot of things right. I think his laugh, I was surprised how much his laugh. Well, I mean, Heath Ledger's is so much like this laugh. There's certain parts of it where if you clipped it out, I think you won't be able to tell the difference. Like that kind of mad cackle, I thought was great.
Sorry,
sorry, go on.
I was just saying, sorry to go back to IMDb, but I was reading up on just what Jack Nicholson was like. Like, apparently, when around about that time, he would just go out to all hours of the morning, drinking and eating, and then his contracted hours would be later in the morning. And it said he would just come in, get his makeup done, and just fall asleep in the chair because he'd been out all night. I think he was probably quite like the Joker in a lot of ways as well.
Yeah, he was very much a party animal, I reckon.
I like.
What was your favourite Joker moment? Since it's kind of basically a Joker movie, what was your favourite Joker moment in the film? Sean, you can go first.
Probably the bit I've just said, a bit more of a low key moment, but I think it's the bit where he says the pale moonlight line, and then he just goes, "Oh, it doesn't mean anything. I just heard it once, and I like how it sounds." I thought that was like, that's a really good line, and very much in character. And I was surprised because Jack Nicholson, we've seen him go mad in films and stuff like that, and I think in this, it's so well done. Like, he could have very easily slipped into just being Jack Nicholson playing like a manic person, but he slipped into the Joker role so well. And it's not surprising he ends up so high on the list of people who played the Joker. I think in some lists he goes above Ledger, which, I mean, is an argument to be made, certainly. Because I think if you were younger and you saw this film when it came out, and you were an adult or you were older, he's probably the definitive one for you. Whereas my generation, like I think our later generations, it's going to be Heath Ledger, and you can't imagine everything that's come after it's been like paled in comparison.
Yeah, it's hard to compare because the tones of the films are completely different. You can if you put Heath Ledger in this film, it'd be completely weird and it might not come across the same. So, it's hard to compare. It's very hard to compare. What about you, James? What's your favourite Joker moment?
The favourite Joker moment probably is when it's that whole sequence when he's going for a date with Vicky. Is it in the museum, Colin? The whole music, the whole
art museum, yeah.
It's because that is so Joker, isn't it? It's the bells and the whistles. I think that's making an entrance, trying to impress, and just being absolutely mental. I think it's over the top craziness. I think that's it. I did like the rhubarb line though. That was I'm still laughing. I had to beat myself earlier because I was killing myself laughing at that. But I think that they two are definitely up there.
Nice. What about you, Colin?
Again, quite a low key one. I liked because he fell into the acid, but then the first time you see him, he's in the shadows and they don't show his face for a while. They take their time to eventually reveal him. So I didn't actually know what he was going to look like, that version of the Joker. I actually expected him to be more grotesque, to be honest, and a bit hard to look at, which he wasn't really. So I quite like just that build up where you're just waiting for the reveal.
Nice. My favourite part is probably it's one of two. So it's either when he pulls out the massive magnum out his trousers, and I'm talking about the gun. I'm not talking about anything else.
Oh yeah, I remember that bit.
He shoots down the Batwing. So he'd be good on the old PS5 Battlefield. And see either that one or when they're fighting in the bell tower. And for some reason this just makes me laugh when Batman's coming towards him, he just pulls out a pair of glasses. Like, you would hit the guy with glasses, would you? I don't know why, it's just something so simple, but it's made me laugh. And then when he throws him over and he goes to give him a hand and he's got a fake hand, for some reason he just managed to replace his hand with a fake hand whilst he was dangling over the edge of a building.
He's got the gun with the flag as well.
That as well, yeah. Just the wee simple gags actually got me, which is my favourite moments of the Joker. None of his diabolical nonsense.
Is it time to put the scores on the doors and do the seismic scores? Is that right?
Can I do my last bit of trivia? My one last bit of cast trivia, if that's all right. Kim Basinger.
I suppose so.
Please,
he didn't even wait for us to say yes. He just went right. You go.
Be rude to your guests. See what that gets you. No, I'm joking. Kim Basinger, from everyone's favourite Bond film, Never Say Never Again, 1983, where she played Domino. There you go. That's it. And I like the fact no one wears makeup. I like that running joke because I'd forgotten, because he puts the poisonous stuff in all the makeups. And then you see the guy, and even he doesn't have his makeup on. I thought that was really, really funny. I liked that. Really liked it.
That was a bit I wanted to mention earlier. There wasn't a lot of kind of like horror elements in this film, but see when I can't remember what the character was called, but she took in the kind of poison and she's just lying, smiling on the ground. I wish they'd went into that a bit more, seen more characters like just lying dead, smiling. Like, I think that'd have been quite creepy to watch.
Yeah, I think that they start doing that in the parade. Like some people were just falling down and they're all smiling away.
Maybe in the museum, there was somebody just literally lying on the ground, and you just saw a close up of her face, and she was just grinning.
The parade was a bit odd as well. I know I'm just kind of going off a wee tangent. We're meant to be doing scores, but like, and he's throwing out money, and then he starts gassing people, and people were like running away. And then when the balloons get taken away, everybody's just back again, like, oh, money.
It was the guy who was dying, sliding out of the payment, but he slid hold of the money. I thought that's about right. Just like sliding to his death. But I do think like the music in that bit's really weird. Like it feels like it's out of like Romancing the Stone, which is a great film, but totally different kind of theme. It feels like it's out of a random 1980s film, and it feels so out of place. And it fights it's like juxtaposed with Danny Elfman's iconic score, which is a shame we don't hear in more Batman films. But Danny Elfman's fantastic score, and it kind of fights. So you've got kind of like Batman's score on one hand, and then you've got this really flamboyant thing by this soundtrack by Prince. I don't think it kind of works. I mean, that's but looking from a modern perspective, where we're used to our themes being very in line. Whereas back then in the 80s, I think it was anything goes really. So maybe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get what you mean completely. That was what I was kind of getting a bit hung up on earlier on. Was just some of the music didn't hit it for me. It was just very 80s, but like upbeat, cheesy 80s. When this is meant to be quite, I don't know. It just didn't feel right to me. I don't know how to explain it.
Not enough Evanescence.
Not enough Evanescence. You're right. So anyway, and you're frozen again, Colin. Shall we do our wee scores in the doors then? And Sean, I know you give Batman and Robin a 10 out of 10, so...
Oh, it can't end well for me at all. Do you know what? I don't want to be harsh, but it's what popped into my head. 6 out of 10. I'm sorry, but I don't think
Not that bad.
I don't know. There's far better out there, to be honest. I think a 6 out of 10. I can't push to a 7. I think it's a 6. Sorry.
That's okay.
Sorry,
it's your opinion, and you're entitled to it. James will come meet you in the car park, but it's fine.
I'm going to go for 7 out of 10 for this. So I'm going one more than Sean. It wasn't a dreadful film. I don't think it was dreadful at all. Was it bad? I think the Joker pulled it out of the bag. I think if it wasn't for the Joker, then I don't think any other, bad guy could have done a better job than Jack Nicholson, and it'd been a totally different film. The Joker suited the mood of the film, so I think 7 out of 10 is fair. I don't think it would go any lower than that. Definitely not any higher than that. So that's my opinion.
Yeah, it's fair enough, considering he's your favourite superhero. That's a fair opinion. What about you, Colin?
Well, I've got 3 bits of criteria when I watch a film. Did it make me laugh? Would I watch it again? Did I stay awake during it? I'd watch it again, and I stayed awake the whole film.
You've kind of frozen a wee bit.
Mr. Freeze is back again.
Yeah.
Am I here now?
You're here now, yeah. Do you need a telecoms engineer to come and fix your broadband?
Have you tried turning it off and back on again?
I said
Control-Delete.
I said I've got 3 bits of criteria. Did it make me laugh? Would I watch it again? Did I stay awake? Yes to all 3. I don't really have a score. That's just I'd watch it again. It made me laugh, and I stayed awake.
I did have a nap in the middle of it. I paused it at an hour and had an hour kip, and then woke back up and watched the last bit.
If you're pushing me for a number, it's hard because you always feel like you don't want to copy the people that went before. But I was, to be honest, leading towards. I'm going to go 7.5. Be a bit different.
7.5. Going with a consensus on IMDb.
I thought it was fun. Wasn't the acting probably not as good as the more modern films. It's a bit too cheesy at times, but I kind of expected it to be. Like I expected the action to not be as good as the modern films, and I just had a good time. No infringements here.
Yeah, no, that's cool. That's cool. So see, you watched The Thing last night, and your criteria is did it make you laugh, and you stayed awake and all that. I take it The Thing's going to have quite a low score there.
It doesn't apply to films that are meant to be funny.
Oh, there's a great line in that. I can't repeat it because it's got a swear word in it. The couch line, where he's tied to the chair. He's like, "When you guys have a minute, I would like to spend the rest of my time not tied to this something couch," which is hilarious. It comes after the blood testy bit. That's a laugh. That's a laugh right there.
I just like the bit when Palmer turns around and he sees the head crawling away. He's like, You gotta be kidding.
Me.
Paul, I didn't fall asleep.
That's true. That's right. That's all good then. Right, my rating
How long have
for
we got? How long have we got the film left for again?
I think till tomorrow.
What time? I may watch it again.
9, 10. Anyway, this was not to do with Batman. How
Okay.
come I'm the one keeping on this track this time? Usually I'm the one meandering off.
Score. Stop going off on a tangent. You have a score.
Hey, I'll edit this out if I want to. So my score for this is probably along the same lines as Sean. I would say 6 out of 10. Like the scenes with the Joker in it, I was all for. The bits with Michael Keaton in it, I wasn't really that totally invested in it. I thought the romance was quite rushed. I didn't like that this was like the first Batman film, and like an hour into the film, he's already to give up his secret identity to like this first lassie that we've seen
Oh,
and
that
meet.
scene was stupid, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I'm. Spit it out, mate. Just spit it out. Oh, someone's knocked at the door. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, aye. So that was. I just felt like that. I don't know. It was just wee bits and pieces that felt a bit rushing to me. But yeah, 6 out of 10. It's not the worst film I've seen. It was perfectly enjoyable to watch in small doses. I think it's not aged as well as I think it could do, but what more can you ask for? Back in the day, it was probably fantastic. But yeah, 6 out of 10 for me.
Stop being so negative.
I can't help it. I'm just a skeptic. Okay, so at the end, we just kind of do a shout out just to kind of some of the podcasts we've been listening to. I don't think have you listened to any this week, Colin?
This is where it's really awkward, James, because I have a podcast. So like they're basically admitting, yeah, we don't listen to you, mate.
Oh well, by the way, Sean. By the way,
Paul has. Paul, you froze.
I froze. You froze. Anyway,
You froze.
so I was listening to Review Yourself podcast featuring Paul from SP Film Viewers doing Halloween 2. And I was afraid that you were going to bash it to hell, but you actually gave it a fair shake. So I was quite happy because I quite like Halloween 2.
Yeah, didn't hold up for me as well as I thought it would. It was just shame. I don't know, because the first time I watched it, I really liked it. And then I rewatched it and it just didn't hold up as well as I thought it would.
Yeah, I watched the newer films and I watched that one, and like when he gets shot in the eyes, I'm like, how did they make sequels to this?
Well, he was meant to die. That was John Carpenter. It was meant to end there, and he was meant to burn and everything like that. And then they were like, oh no. But then that's why they made 3, because they wanted to do an anthology series of different stories set at Halloween. But because Halloween 3 didn't do amazingly well really quickly, well, not as quickly as nowadays, but it didn't do particularly well, they kind of panicked and were like, let's make a 4. And John Carpenter was going to come back and make it, but then there was a strike and all sorts of stuff. So that's how it started going off the rails. Because John Carpenter's version was much closer to what we got in like 2018 and 90 and Kills, where like it was a town that had banned Halloween and stuff, and it was more about visceral and how it wasn't so much Michael Myers was going to be a specter rather than a real person, which sounds a bit mad, but I think John Carpenter out of anyone would have made it work. But anyway, I won't waffle on.
Yeah. No, if you want to hear more about that, then check out Sean's podcast, because they had a good wee discussion. And Paul from SP Film Viewers is a really good guy to have on. He's been on for one of our shows as well. So yeah, it's a good wee listen. And I think I posted these on Sunday last week. Dissect That Film and Doom Generation. He did a collaboration with and did Mrs. Doubtfire, which is really funny because like all of them are hilarious. And I listened to a few more of the Infinity Bros, because they did and Isaac from the Infinity Bros did a show with us, Into the Spider-Verse, which just released today, but last week. So I listened to a couple of more of theirs. Listened to the Mandalorian season finale, and what was the other one? I can't remember. And the Nomads of Fantasy as well. Listen to their podcast. I listened to the Big Trouble in Little Chinatown pod. So you might like that, James. They've done a really good job on that.
Really?
and they do like Jack Burton impressions like throughout, so
Nice.
it's pretty good. And he did Predator as well, but their Dutch impressions weren't very good.
All right.
But yeah, that's all I've been really listening to this week, I think. But I need to write them all down. I just look at my Spotify history and I cannot remember what I've listened to on these different shows.
Hello, and this is our seismic shout-out section where we put a wee question out on Twitter to see what people's thoughts and views were on Batman 1989. We forgot to do this in the show, so we're doing this in post, so this might sound a bit weird because it's me doing it by myself and I'm an idiot. So, first up we've got Craig from What's the Script. He's just put Glasgow ABC, Sucky Hall Street, 11 years old. Amazing. So yeah, I can imagine being back in the day. It must have been some sight to see. I think, like we were saying earlier on, I was quite spoiled with seeing the new Batman films and then going back and seeing this after the fact. So that may have spoiled the experience for me a wee bit. And we have, next up, it is Mike from the Grey's Taproom podcast. Absolutely love Mike and Tabby, by the way. And Mike says, it was my introduction to Batman. I remember seeing it shortly after it hit VHS in 1990. I was in awe of how attention-grabbing and spectacular it was. It's been one of my favourite films ever since. So quite a wee positive one from Mike there. Sorry to say, I think I may have bashed it a little bit through that show, but you know what? Different eras, different opinions, so can't knock it. And we have Sophia Paul from SP Film Viewers, and they say, haven't seen it in a long time, but Tim Burton did a great job making an iconic Joker before The Dark Knight came around, which I think we all pretty much agreed on, that Jack Nicholson done a great job on the Joker, and who knows who's better than Jack Nicholson or Heath Ledger, but I think Jack Nicholson for that era was the man for the job. But yeah, that's all the shout-outs on Twitter we had this week, and keep a wee eye out for any ones we have in the next few pods. I think next week we're doing The Thing, so yeah, if you have any overriding memories or just experiences of the film, just get in touch with us.
I feel kind of the odd one out here. Well, I'm the odd one out. I don't have a podcast yet. But when I get my podcast up and running, it will be a homage to Big Trouble in Little China. So we've already got a name for it. It's All in the Reflexes, with the name of the podcast. And so far it stars yours truly, and I don't know who else. So we'll see.
Just start speaking into the mic, to quote Sean earlier.
Yep. And as well, James Paterson says, just do it.
Yeah,
and that's
that,
awful. Yeah. I'm so sorry. That's terrible.
It's not like you're starting from zero. You've been on with us 3 times, so you've
yeah. Might have to get his on as guests to start us off.
Honestly, before it starts.
Honestly, James, go back and listen to like everybody's first episode. Go back and listen to mine. I could barely talk, and I'm on my own, and it's just it's just a horror show. It's just a horror show. See, I got right to the end, and I've just nearly swapped. But yeah, it's a horror show. But I didn't take it down, and I recorded it on my phone, so it sounds ropey, and I didn't know what I wanted it to be. And you work all that out. That's why the best way is just to crack on and do it.
Just going to deep end. Absolutely.
We're still working it out. And talking about taking it right to the very end, we forgot to. This is how bad we are. We forgot to plug ourselves at the start because Paul unexpectedly took the reins and went rogue. So yeah, we are Seismic Cinema. I've probably not seen it, and Paul's watched it in the wrong order. And you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And you can find us on YouTube, Spotify, and all the other podcasting stations. We have a website, but for some reason, I went to ask James when we come off. It was there, and it was just not appearing, no matter what I do. So we did have one. And you can actually subscribe to us for £1.99 a month to catch our Patreon episodes, of which we have one. However, if people start doing that, then we can start making some exclusive episodes, most probably about football or something random. Paul wants to do a seismic soccer episode.
That would be pretty cool.
And it pains me in every fibre of my body that it just sounds better saying soccer than football.
No. Yeah, so if you're
seismic shootout instead, no, I don't know.
Maybe
They might confuse us for a gun show.
That's what we can call our quizzes. We had an idea
yeah.
ages ago. We had an idea ages ago for doing like we could still do that. Like a wee, now that we know enough people online, we could do a wee quiz occasionally. Host a wee quiz on StreamYard.
Yeah, that'd be good.
So yeah, if you've enjoyed this or other episodes, then make sure you subscribe and share and like and follow and all that good stuff. And make sure you go back and listen to the rest of Mighty May, Daredevil, Man of Steel, and Into the Spideyverse, and then tune in next month for our Jump Scare June.
Mm-hmm. And if you love your movies, if you love your sports, if you love anything, Sean will definitely have a show for you in there somewhere, because he covers like absolutely everything. So definitely give him a listen, because it's absolute gold. And also check out James when he gets his podcast up and running too. If you love Big Trouble in Little Chinatown, he'll be the man for you.
It's all in the reflexes.
You got the knack of it already. And there's only one last thing to do, and it's to see if either James or Sean remember what our tagline is. James has been on twice. Let's see. He does it.
There you go.
It's the power of escapism.
Hey.
There we go. Hey.
Wonder how many times that took him to get that right.
To be fair, the second time I came on the Black Mirror, I did a poll and I did some funny thing about technology fouling things up, I think it was. But yeah, I always knew your slogan was never in doubt.
As the slogan goes, we've enjoyed escaping reality for a wee bit to talk some Batman, and I hope James and Sean have enjoyed coming on and spending the evening. Particularly, James gave up watching the last Rangers home game of the season to come on here unless he's got his phone by his side.
Oh, of course. Well, you told me the final score, so Are
you keeping it a secret for our sports scene?
No.
Hey, come on, let's football talk. Nobody cares. The 2-horse race is over.
We're promoting the seismic shootout episode.
I don't want to talk about football anymore. my team. No.
It's been great. So thanks again for coming on. And yeah, make sure you check out Sean's current show and James's future show, and hopefully check out us as well. So thanks for coming on, guys, and see you next time.
Right, thanks for having us. Cheers, man.
Yeah, thanks, guys, and thanks for listening.
Cheers.